Hey, welcome back to the DC Shoot Off podcast. We're back with season 2. Tyler's taking a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm still here, your host, Sam Morse. And instead, we've got Lance Cheung here from the kind of photo side of the Shoot Off visual media workshops. So we're happy to have him. And don't forget, it's all play. So right off the bat, there's a reason that we've got Lance here on the podcast today, because we've got the photo shoot off coming up. That's going to be March 27th through 29th. So Lance, you want to tell us a little bit about the photo shoot off?
Well, yeah, sure. It is the other half of the workshop component. You know, the photo workshop actually preceded the video workshop by a few years.
Yeah, I was going to say the photo shoot off is the OG, right?
That's correct. It is the OG. You know, you, a camera, and the world around you. That's it. And what do you do with it? How do you capture that? And it's it's had different names of photojournalism and such. And we're sticking to the photojournalism. We really want to get back to those OG roots of storytelling. Going out there, meeting people, telling their story.
When we're telling their story, it's not our product, it's their story. So it's all about authenticity, right?
That's right. Authenticity and clarity and communicating what they want to say. And visually, we're just processing all those, what we're hearing, what we're seeing. And then, to that, it just comes to the moment that we're taking pictures. And that's what this is all about. And you don't know you don't know really what you're going to be faced with. And again, just like the video workshop, you don't completely know what the theme of the workshop is. Also in the photo workshop, there is a theme that is drawn from suggestions and such. But more to a little bit about the two different workshops and how it came about. I'm going to touch on it lightly. Hopefully in the future there will be an opportunity to talk with Johnny Bavera, who is the. I've
been trying to get him on the podcast since last year. He's a busy guy.
He is. He's an extremely busy guy. So I'm going to touch on it lightly, but he can really do the deep dive. Look for that podcast in the future. So strongly based on the military community of image makers, photographers, videographers, and such, it's usually was the core of our kind of reasoning for this. Well, I'm former military, aerial photojournalist for the Air Force, and training was always a big aspect. It wasn't something like, you come into the job knowing what you're doing. I had various different avenues to get to where I was. It's instilled that training is a part of your job, and we were just not seeing enough of that, either on the active duty side or in the civil service side. In any side, any person interested in photojournalism, there was the desire to keep motivating, keep inspiring, and that's a huge part of what image makers do. And Absolutely. How do you do that? How do you do that at at a reasonably priced event? To bring people and to network and to foster mentorship. Actually, meet up with people and form lifelong, relationships. So all those things that are similar with the video workshop also are on the photo workshop side.
Especially on the networking and such. I know back in the day, especially back when the first ComCam squadron in the Air Force was that was a special duty, not just a regular assignment for people. And that was kind of where the elite went to hone their craft. And then you had the military photographer of the year, MILFOG competition, and the DC PJ Mafia, which I think is still kind of a thing. I see the posts every once in a while. So the military photojournalism career field has had this rich history of mentorship and teaching and kind of passing one generation to the next. I'll never forget Chamari saying, "Give as freely as it was given." So the photo shoot off, the video shoot off, it definitely feels like a continuation of that legacy.
Yeah, definitely. It's like an extended photo night. Areas where there were like a group of military photographers, and sometimes, if there were enough of them, they would meet every now and then, maybe monthly or quarterly, and they'd show some of their work and talk about it. But this would take it to the next level, to actually bring in speakers, and instead of showing work, producing work. So you get your theme, which is made by suggestion, and then from that half a dozen are drawn from, and then the random pick of the theme, taking that individually and then going out and then creating that assignment for yourself, self-assigned, self-created, self-produced assignment. And that's what really is kind of the stretch for a lot of participants.
Absolutely.
Because they get assignments like, here's your assignment, they're your subject, they know you're coming, they're going to talk about this and that. Well, this is taking it even further, because what if you get that assignment with all that information, and then something from left field comes in, some factor that you didn't know about, or something about them personally is really worth highlighting. What do you do then? How do you highlight that? What are you going to do? And this
Semper Gumby, as they say.
That's right, Semper Gumby. And they're going to do what they can, and instead of shut down, or right. It's going, hey, that's not on the work order here, so I'm not going to do it.
It's all about flexibility.
That's right, absolutely. And in this realm, you can do that. You can make mistakes. You can go for different levels and different deep dives into an assignment that you may not normally have that flexibility to do, and you're in a safe space to do that.
And it's not like they're on their own either. It's not like they're on their own. They'll have a mentor. So that's both the photo and video shoot off. That's kind of one of the big selling points, is having a mentor who's usually a professional in the field, somebody with a lot of experience, and they're there every step of the way, giving feedback, giving advice, saying, hey, haven't you thought about this? I still remember my experience going to the Eddie Adams workshop, and my assignment, I ended up shooting alpacas. This woman who had this alpacas as a backyard farm type deal. And my mentor challenged me, I want you to photograph the alpacas, but you can't have the alpacas in the shot. Like, what do you mean shooting the alpacas, but the alpacas can't be in the shot? And it really got me thinking about how do we show the periphery? How do we show the things that tell me the story about these alpacas? It's one of the great things about any workshop, but we usually do manage to get a really good pack of mentors at each workshop, both the photo and the video side.
Yeah, definitely. People focused. It's the byword in many different organizations. It's like, how do you break out of that building subject object type of mentalities? Like, yes, they're not going to move anywhere. You can do anything with them and stuff like that. But where the challenge is the people, because right. You don't, there's so many variables that you can come up with and such. And
yeah, and a story, you got a beginning, a middle, and end, but at the same time, you don't want to shoot a how-to guide. You want to shoot a story. It's always a challenge.
And it's about listening and being with your subject, and getting that quick read. It's like a lot of times like in a workshop, you're going to have 24 hours to produce your uh, uh, assignment package of 5 images or less, three to 5 images. And it's like, how do you do that? How do you take it from one photo to the next? How do you not be redundant and shooting the same thing a different way and going, oh, yeah, there you go. It's like, no, you really need to push yourself to show a different aspect, a viable aspect, a worthy aspect of this person's personality and what they're bringing to whatever they're doing or who they are. So it's a real challenge. And some of the other things is that it really harkens to kind of the broad scope of participants that come to the workshops, because it's not again, just like the video workshop, it's not just for military, civil
Right.
service, veterans, contractors, really anyone can go to the Eventbrite website and go ahead and sign up and come and attend. Just know that every now and then some military reference or experience may be told as a war story.
Right.
But it's
Literal
all
war
there.
story.
Yeah, literal war story. But it's all there to help you understand, how you're going to take your next step. What inspiration can you take from this? Because war stories, yeah. I mean, not only is it just the two people, but you have a whole host of situational concerns when you're out in the field. And, that it makes it even more poignant that you're going to you have to hone your skills. You have to hone your people skills. And this is an area where you can do that and have mentorship. So, earlier I said that, the video organization of it or the structure of it is working as a team. So in a photo workshop, you're not working as a team, but you are part of a group that is mentored. So you have like 2, 3, 4 photographers who are being mentored by one person, and usually the mentor will also have a team manager of sorts to help figure out some of the logistics and things along with that. So you're going to have help both mentally and technologically to participate fully and keep focusing on what you want to do, how you want to shoot something and stuff, and worry less about the technology and everything else. It's like, how am I going to get inspired? I have no idea. It's like, well, here's someone that has been through that a lot, and can give you that sort of look and perspective that maybe you didn't have before or even valued so much before. But here we're going to go, yeah, go for it. Push through and expand. Think of, and it's a glimpse for participants to look into a more experienced mindset of looking at what is before them. How can you approach them? How can you share them? And that's the real value of these in-person workshops. You just really can't get that with an online workshop.
You can to a degree, but it's not quite as easy. And one of the nice things about these workshops is you're not just getting feedback from your mentor. You can get feedback from anybody that's there, even fellow students, staff members. You can basically go up to anybody and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And you'll get some feedback.
Any of the other mentors, they will gladly help you along, talk with you about your career development. Kind of like where are you? What are you doing? Where do you want to go? And it might be a different answer you have before and after the workshop. A lot of times these workshops help you define your trajectory, your path. It's like, is this what you really want to do? It's like, it's like, are you tapping into, say, the joys and rewards of doing this as, to your greatest ability, or are you missing something? And maybe it's not there, and maybe you don't want to, do this on a long term. But at least here you can, look at ways to enjoy it while you can, and expand your mental portfolio about what are you going to do, just from experiences such as this.
Yeah, I remember, ironically, I mentioned the Eddie Adams workshop, which has kind of a similar structure. It's just a little bit longer and more civilian oriented than military.
And a whole lot more intense.
A whole lot more intense too. Yeah. When you've got Pulitzer Prize winners as your mentors, it dials things up a notch. But ironically, it was during a portfolio review at Eddie Adams workshop that I realized photography was not necessarily my career path. Video was. I remember, I forget exactly who it was that was giving me the feedback. 'Cause I'm terrible with names like that. But the guy looked at my portfolio, was like, your photos are all over the place. I can't tell where your passion is. And I showed him a video product that I had produced, and he looked at it as like, it's clear as day. This is your passion. This is where your love is. And that was like a light bulb moment of like, no, he's right. That is where my passion is. So yeah, you never know what kind of feedback is going to come your way during a workshop like this. And especially, I personally feel like the military doesn't do a good job of preparing people for the outside. So being able to network with people who are in the industry, who have been in their shoes, as a military member before, but then have gone on to either go into civil service or freelance or anything like that. It's really good to get their perspective and kind of help figure out what life is going to be like after the military, because the military is cool, but it is nothing like the civilian side.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that, I can only talk about myself when it comes to that. And so my background is, I was 23 years in the Air Force, retired as a master sergeant. And during that time, first 10 years was actually not officially involved with photography. I was actually one of those people on airfields that drove up in fuel trucks and then connected the hose to the aircraft and then pumped that fuel into the large aircraft, large and small aircraft. So I was what was informally known as POL, which is petroleum, oils, and lubricants.
Yeah,
that was my that was my bailiwick for 10 years. But the thing about that is that for all those 10 years and before the Air Force, I'd been interested in photography, and I had kind of learned my photography through magazines. During that time there were many photo oriented magazines, and they had techniques and tips and things like that. And I had gotten a camera for myself, and I'd started rolling film for myself from bulk rolls and such. And lo and behold, all that information that was given to me became very valuable later on at about the 10-year mark of my Air Force career, because up to then, I'd been doing it as a hobby on base and stuff, and kind of doing some pictures for the base paper and such. I was like a stringer for them, and I was able to get permissions to like take my camera out on the flight line with me. So I was documenting a lot of Air Force life out on the flight line and such.
Nice. Sounds like what we would call a UPAR these days, a Unit Public Affairs Representative.
Mm-hmm. And so all that information came to a head when I was there was a window for me to actually add photography or photographer to my official records as one of my skills. And to do that, you had to actually take a test. And so you're a qualified photographer at an entry level. So I took the test. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So I got qualified, and that's how I got into officially became an Air Force photographer, even though I didn't have an assignment. I was still pumping fuel and such, but, all that kind of led through one thing or another where I was brought into the advanced photojournalism program for the military. And I studied at the RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, for a year. Again, that's one of those military contracted courses. You take 4 years and you scrunch it into one. Pretty intense, but I made it through. And then after that, went on to combat camera for several years, both at the 2nd Combat Camera Squadron and the 1st Combat Camera Squadron. And did deployments all over the world. And that's where I also started the aviation, the aerial photography, photojournalism part of my career, in addition to everything else, to the ground combat aspects as well. But that was an elite unit that not only did combat stuff, but they also did other high-end stuff requiring multiple lights and very creative, illustrative, or marketing aspects. So we would switch hats to, a different paradigm and do that. So, that, and then later on, it was, I got selected for Airman Magazine and did several years there, and, kind of finished up as director of photojournalism for Air Force News. The titles and the, duties have changed over the years and such, but it was a great gig. And you can just I just tell people, Google my name and just see what's up about my imagery. And so there is,
you sent me a link with some of your imagery here. And you mentioned you're a fan of using gels.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. So I'm going to take off the photojournalism side and go to the public awareness side of imagery, where we just want to highlight a certain aspect of Air Force life, what we do. Are we just about flying jets? What else is involved? And here at Travis Air Force Base, the image you see is a very unique and fantastic hyperbaric chamber, which is used a lot of times more for just medical recuperation, recovery. The high oxygen levels that they can put in there is amazing. But it's more than just a tank and a valve, and it's like, here you go, here's some more oxygen. It's all under very controlled conditions, and the lights and colors were to highlight some of the kind of the intense areas of controlling for those chambers in the middle. There's 3 chambers, 3 interconnected chambers there, and then the blue for the science and medicine side of the photograph. So I'm using colors to instill subconscious kind of influences of what realms does this photograph apply to. So it's a little, again, Absolutely. Medicine and science and such.
I know it's funny because it's kind of a cool looking room, but I'm sure it didn't look anything like that when you first showed up.
Oh no.
At the 2nd AVS, we do a lot of work with the Space Force, and I hate to break it to people, but the Space Force facilities do not look like they do in the movies. They just don't. In many cases, they're basically just, office space with cubicles or, maybe slightly more open desk and stuff like that. To make it look like what people expect the Space Force to look like, we usually have to dress it up with color and light and on more than one occasion, as we're getting ready to pack things up, the residents of the office are like, you guys could just leave the lights. We kind of like it.
Funny you should say that. The people there as well said, could you leave the lights?
Yeah. It's amazing how much like good lighting can just change your perspective and change the way you feel about something, get you a little bit of motivation. Let's see. Let's look at a couple other photos here. So I'm guessing the HUD wasn't in the original image, or was that like a clear glass or something?
Oh, strange you should mention Space Force. This is Space Force.
Before it was Space Force?
Yeah, before Space Force was Space Force. This is the Space Command of U.S. Air Force. And so it does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't look like what you think it would look like. This airman was actually tracking satellites.
Nice.
Yeah, he is. During his shift, he is one of the people responsible for tracking the space junk that orbits the Earth. Nice. And that is so very important because you need a flight path that goes well away from any of that.
Tracking space junk, there's a ton of it up there. And I remember seeing one of the facilities that tracks space junk down in Socorro, New Mexico. And yeah, it is wild how much they have to track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was part of the story of at NORAD. So just experience of going into the NORAD complex is amazing. Anyway, so what you're seeing here in this photograph is a senior airman. He is at the Space Command, before it was Space Force, at the at NORAD, the famous NORAD complex, and inside there. He comes on shift and he comes to this box of, it's like, I'm thinking there are vacuum tubes inside of this machine. That's how old I think this is. And it shows the old green screen radar scope type of display. It's like, oh my God. How can I say that we're tracking space debris, something so exacting to know where exactly is it in the sky, how fast it's going, what's its trajectory, give it a name, and then be able to use it functionally with space flight. How do I do that? Okay, so I'm thinking. It's like, okay, this is not really a person's story per se, so we're switching hats again. We're switching hats from the photojournalism side of people oriented, so this is more like job oriented. It's like, I can't show this box. People would just not believe. You wouldn't believe that we're doing it with this. I'm sure it's been upgraded since then.
Oh, they've moved beyond CRT displays, but it does not look high tech whatsoever.
Yeah. So the highest tech thing I can think of was a photo illustration. So I just focus, I get the camera in front of the display, make sure there's no classified stuff on there, and he sets it up for me. And I get some really, some clean shots that I know I can work with. And then I just have him slide to the side of his console, and I set up some lights that simulate the glow from his screen, and that's how you see kind of the imagery on him. Combine them together, you get a guy immersed in the space environment that is his job as a senior airman.
Very cool.
Yeah, protecting space flight.
So when I was deployed in Afghanistan, I remember seeing a photo come across. We would get these weekly, or actually I think even daily, air power summaries. And of course, there would always be a really cool jet photo attached to each one of them because, Air Force. And I remembered this really cool shot of an F-15E Strike Eagle that was on at least one of them. And just this dead on shot that stuck with me for a while. Well, fast forward a few years, quite a few years. And I was stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base, which is an F-15E Strike Eagle base. And Pokemon Go had just come out. And you know where I'm going with this. And I was like, oh, you know what would be really cool? Because this shot, like it's dead looking right down, the barrel of the F-15 essentially. And I created this Photoshop composite showing a Pidgeotto in the foreground out of focus with the F-15 looking like it's, chasing down this Pidgeotto. And I think we posted it to the base Facebook page with the tagline, like, some people are taking Pokemon Go a little too seriously. And sure enough, you sent me this portfolio of images, and sure enough, that's your image. That's your photo that I used. So it's really kind of funny how it's a small world. We're all kind of connected, and you don't realize how much you've seen each other's work, and how paths might cross. And years later, we're looking at portfolio images like, I've used that photo.
Yeah. I have a history of my pictures being taken by others and cleverly been popularized.
I'm sure that one in particular a few times.
Yeah, I have some, or not some, but I have one infamous shot. If you Google my name, you'll find it. You might get a chuckle out of it.
Now I need to Google your, let's see.
Oh, it's in the gallery there.
Oh, it is?
Well, at least my photo is.
Oh, your photo is. Okay. Now you've really got me curious.
So there I was, outside the San Francisco Bay.
Oh, you're talking about the helicopter shot?
Yeah.
Oh. I feel like I have seen versions of that where there's like a shark.
Yeah. But that really is a discussion for another day.
Fair enough.
If
you just have me curious there for a minute.
Yeah. It's always good for like a if I have to do a talk on ethics. I was the ethical person in this whole thing. So was this other photographer. He was quite ethical.
Right.
It just takes one bad player.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I know photoshopping the Pidgeotto in there, that was a calculated thing. So I'm like, I'm photoshopping official DoD imagery, but I don't think anyone's going to claim that that's real. Although I did try to make it fairly realistic looking.
Yeah.
But in any case, we probably want to get into kind of the nitty gritty of the photo shoot off. So let's go through the schedule just a little bit, just to kind of give people an idea of what to expect. So the shoot off is the photo shoot off is March 27th through 29th. So that's running a Thursday evening until Saturday. That Thursday, the only real thing is 5 p.m. They've got portfolio reviews. So it's been a while since I've been to the photo shoot off. I'm guessing it's kind of an informal thing, just whoever is there.
Oh, sure. It is an optional opportunity for people who are coming to the workshop for whatever purpose or reason that they're there. The portfolio review / career view or career counseling is always available there. So a lot of people don't always have someone in their office or easily available that can look at their work either on a daily basis or in a portfolio sense, and get a good feedback for what they're doing, how they're doing, where what direction that might be able to help them achieve their goals. And so the workshop has the informal. It's oftentimes in a lobby of a hotel, and everybody kind of spreads out to various locations and such, and sit down one-on-one, with one of the mentors, team leads, as staff. It's like, as I want to also mention, it's like, all the staff are highly experienced, highly educated image makers unto themselves. So, sitting down with anybody who's behind the scenes is a great opportunity. And so they'll go through their pictures, and really, they'll typically look through them, then they'll look through them again and offer critique for imagery, and then a kind of their idea. They'll just have a conversation with each person. It's like, what do you want to do with this? What's your goals? What you want to do? And they'll kind of craft their responses and conversation to help support them, whatever it is, in what they want to do. Because a lot of the most of the staff and volunteer staff and the photographers there have military background one way or another. There can be some very specific career path suggestions to help them along their way, not with just imagery, but perhaps with the administration of their career and such. And there's going to be a lot of civil service. A lot of the staff are now in civil service. I'm with the Department of Agriculture. There are others who are also part of that department, and other departments as well, not just DOD. So you're going to have a lot of administrative experiences and such. So that's another reason why a person who, not only in the beginning of their career, but midpoint in their career, or maybe toward the end of their current career, may want to come to the workshop just for that networking possibility alone, to talk with people. And that's, going to be the best time, because, there's no time limit to the conversation. It's like the whole evening. If you want to sit down with somebody and really pick their brain on something,
indeed,
that's the opportunity. Whereas with the rest of the events, there's more, there's either a schedule of events, speakers and such, and then there's assignment where you're out in the field doing that. Then you come back and you're editing, you're busy doing that, and then getting some sleep, and then coming back for more presentations.
Wait, people get
and
sleep?
Some people kind of figure that one out, and I hear, just like we all know, many of the military folks are very adept at being able to sleep anywhere and at any time. So you actually see that sometimes, people really pushing themselves to do their best, present their best work. And then when they can, just get a little shut eye, or just to refresh themselves, which is a good process in itself, to get a little nap in the middle of your process. You can't maybe always do that at your workplace. So, this is another place you're experimenting with different processes of your own to get there.
Well, and kind of tying things up, it's worth remembering that Thursday afternoon is set aside for portfolio reviews and stuff. But realistically, if you've got time, if somebody on the staff or a mentor or somebody like that has time, by all means, ask for feedback, show your work. And time permitting, that can happen at any point in the workshop. It's just Thursday afternoon. That is the time that's set aside for that. That is,
it's most suitable at that time. So that's why I was going through kind of all the other schedules and stuff. You can get really busy and really want to, but can't.
So Friday, that's the pack day. That is the start right at 9 a.m. It looks like, Well, 9 a.m. is when everybody meets, I guess. The DC shoot off is a competition. However, it's always good to remember that learning is the most important piece, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Competition's really just there to give a little extra motivation, right?
If that's your motivation, it's there. If you want to focus on going for the prize, and there are prizes.
Yeah, usually some pretty good prizes.
Yeah, we just don't know quite at this moment exactly what they are, but there are prizes involved and such. But I really highly suggest that you go there wanting to learn more about you and your capabilities in regards to photojournalism.
Or at the very least, don't get hung up on the prizes.
Yeah, don't get hung up.
Go for them. Go for them, but yeah.
Let it be a happy surprise.
Right. Well, and oftentimes that's how it comes, right? Is, you just try to push yourself and it just happens to be a creative take on the theme. The themes are usually very kind of broad, vague things. Like I think the last couple was last year, strength. And I think the year before was charm. Mm-hmm. So it's these really broad, vague terms that can be interpreted in a number of different ways. And oftentimes it's the creative interpretations of it that end up getting the most positive feedback from the judges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It could be anything, like relationship. It could be it could be almost anything. We usually get close to 100 different suggestions written on a dry erase board.
And they're from the students.
And they're from anybody there, staff, and anybody can put a suggested theme word on there, not a theme phrase, but a theme word.
Right.
And from that, a very small committee will go through them and bring it down to like six choices, a handful of choices that will be drawn from a hat. And usually the keynote speaker will have the honor of doing that. And they'll pick one and they'll announce it and we'll get it out on social media so that...
And then you got 24 hours.
Yeah, you got 24 hours from that time to go kind of plan it out, kind of talk it out with your mentor, do some initial research. And, by the way, it's not just the people who are there at the workshop. There's also an online component where
that's right. That's something the video shoot off has not been able to really capitalize on. It's harder to do with the video shoot off when you're trying to have a team that works together.
Right.
But the photo shoot off, we are able to have the remote participants.
They're working independently.
Yep.
And whereas the other ones are working as a team, so you'd have to have a remote team or something like that.
Right.
And it's like, okay,
we tried to do it and just couldn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. But because you're working independently, it is a lot easier to still maintain a connection with a mentor who does provide feedback, but it will be more as a critique, or a phone conversation or something like that, but not the in-person kind of interaction, or maybe the site visit, where a mentor maybe goes with you on assignment or something like that. That's not guaranteed, but there are cases where if somebody is early in their career, not confident with their use of cameras and stuff like that, which is a great candidate for a participant.
Oh yeah.
But we'll recognize that and just maybe put some more emphasis, time, and involvement. Maybe help them shape their assignment so it's more easily done, but successfully done. So
absolutely,
this is a great opportunity to establish and instill those kind of core skills of taking on an assignment based in this regard.
We bring in all walks of life, all different skill levels. I know at the video shoot off, we usually get at least one or two, sometimes 3 or 4 people that have never done video before at all, and they got saddled with additional responsibilities at their job, or they're photographers that have been told, hey, we need to start getting video for social media. And they have no idea what they're doing, and they came to learn from scratch. I'm sure it's the same way with the photo workshop.
It's a great opportunity to break into multimedia, whether you're coming from audio, just audio only podcasts, or for work, whatever that may be, and it's just radio. And now, hey, people expect maybe an image or two to go along with that. How to make that better than just a headshot. You're out there already getting an interview. If you're in person, you're out there at their site. You can do something with that. And then those folks who are brought up on the video side and going, how do you do this frame by frame, right? Rather than continuous movement. That in itself is a huge shift of thought and application of your creativity. It's a whole different sort of thing.
Well, and even if you don't do photography specifically for work, I'm a huge believer that photography teaches you lighting and composition. With video, it's so easy to kind of use motion as a crutch. And with photography, all you have is light, texture, form. You really have to nail your composition and your lighting. So yeah, it's a great way to kind of expand out from your current skill set or build a foundation of a brand new skill set.
Yeah. And I'll add journalists too. All those other disciplines, audio, writing, video, help contribute to taking on the next realm with a little bit of a head start. You have some, you've already have some abilities which you won't have to recreate. You already got that.
Absolutely.
And such. So yeah, they go out, whether there or wherever they are, and they'll do work. They'll check back in with their mentors, see how it's going, maybe do a quick edit. So, in terms of video terms, just seeing the rushes of an assignment. In this case, just getting the initial imagery, whether it's from the camera or a picture of the camera's monitor or an iPhone picture. Speaking of iPhones, nobody says you have to have a camera kit.
That is true. I never even thought about that. I mean, was it Chase Jarvis that said the best camera is the one that's with you?
Yeah. But if you do want a camera, we always have a major manufacturer present, and we always try to ask for their good graces to bring a whole inventory of gear that you can utilize for your shoot. It's a great opportunity to kind of see what's out there and see what gear might be for you, and even ask the manufacturers themselves, what do you suggest? What do you think I should use? And they're about using photographic tools to achieve your story, not about having you buy the most expensive thing. They will respect what your limitations are, and and provide their idea of solutions for that, and help you move a little bit further in that. So that's one of the other aspects of where you will sometimes see presentations from sponsors, and it's very informative things, and you see things a lot of times that you will not see anywhere else.
Sometimes more than a few times we've had sponsors that give us sneak peeks at things that are not released yet or coming down the pipe, or I know I run the live stream for the video shoot off, and we'll be running the live stream for the photo shoot off. And I know I've been told hey, this next part, you need to cut the stream because we can't broadcast that to a wider audience. So definitely a good opportunity to see some industry tech get your hands on some different equipment, and from your fellow students too. Usually we'll have folks of all, different camera types. You'll see, Canon, Sony, Nikon, but you might even see a couple Leicas or Fujis. There's a lot of cameras out there, and none of the manufacturers are making bad cameras these days. There's no duds. So, sometimes it's really cool just to be like, hey, what is it that you're using there? That looks really cool. Or you see an image like, how the heck did you get that?
Yeah. Although not for assignment, we even had large format cameras show up.
Oh, wow.
Doing tin type.
Right. The tin type. I remember that. Shane brought that. That was cool. That was really cool.
And he did a series of portraits. So, that kind of taps on another aspect of the workshop. If you go in there and you don't have a lot of experience, you're just not sure of your skills and capabilities, this is a great place for you.
Yeah.
But don't be intimidated that you're going to be judged at the same level that somebody who's been doing this for 20 years and stuff.
Every single one of us has been there.
Yeah. So a great solution to that is that the workshop competitions or challenges, as we call them, challenges, are broken up into 3 different categories. So and one of them being a conglomeration of both. For the people who are new to the workshop and have not won anything at the workshop, because we have a lot of repeat folks coming back to the workshop.
Because each time you come back, you get, there's different speakers, you might get a different mentor. I mean, it is definitely something where you can get plenty out of it each time you go. It's not the same program every time. You don't get the same mentor every time.
And I'll say this, it's cheap. Yeah. relatively speaking, it's cheap. So doing this multiple times, even if it's out of your own pocket, which may be the case, go for it. But these challenges, so we have the first one is for the entry level and non-challenge winner categories, the Hackman Challenge. And they're named after very specific people. Should I go into them now or maybe later?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So, that's Ken Hackman, right?
Yes, Ken Hackman. He is often referred to as the godfather of Air Force photojournalism. He has affected not only just the Air Force, but all photojournalism, the highest level of photography skills within the military. He is the one who saw the need for university level training, creating this educational level to take it not only from entry level to intermediate level, but to advanced level, highly competitive level of entry. You can, people compete to enter that program because at the time it was one of the most valuable civilian-based training in-house, meaning you move to the school area and you do your training for a year. You come back and you're expected to return to either a combat camera unit because that's where those skills are really, really needed. The ability to turn around and produce great product, no questions asked. Whatever it takes is the model in the Alpha.
Unfortunately, most of the branches don't have that Syracuse program anymore. The advanced stills and advanced motion media programs. I know the Navy still has it, but the other branches, and of course Marines have it by virtue of being part of the Navy. Yeah. But I know the Air Force specifically, they've been focusing more on trying to get a little bit of training to a lot of people rather than investing a lot of training in one specific person.
Yeah,
I think
that's why these workshops are so valuable, to get that,
absolutely,
take it to the next level, take it to a different realm, take it to a different playing ground of operation, so that you can expand in that way.
Yeah, so the Hackman Challenge sounds like that first step. That's our entry level. That's people who have taken that first step to really try and improve themselves as visual communicators.
Yeah. And Ken, he was a veteran himself. He didn't retire military, but he then transitioned to Air Force civilian duty, and very quickly, became the lead person of Air Force photography.
Godfather of Air Force photojournalism.
That's right. And so all the photojournalists, Air Force photojournalists, as far as I know, there's generally 45 of them in existence at any given time. So that's a very small cadre for the entire Air Force. Navy has its counterparts and levels, Marines and such, and participants. I don't know about Army, but anyways, great photographers there as well. But didn't have that program. So there's a hack.
So we got the Hackman. We got
challenge.
the Hackman.
Yep. And then we have the Russ Egner challenge. And that is for the more experienced people coming in, people who just want to identify as like, I want to compete at that higher level.
The heavyweight challenge.
It's a challenge on multiple ways. I'll tell you that. Not only is the expectation going to be higher for participants there, and former winners of the Ken Hackman challenge. The Russ Egner himself was on the Navy side, in the sense, the godfather of Navy photography. Very instrumental in keeping and maintaining and improving the level of photography in the Navy and Marine Corps. So those two legendary people are honored in those two challenges. The third legend that we have is Chip Maury. Chip, he I believe he will be there as well.
It says he's giving the icebreaker presentation. So hopefully he's there.
Chip is a man. His photography has had him working with SEAL teams. He was in the Navy, and he also worked with the underwater demolition teams. So he's a swimmer. I mean, diver, and such. He has sometimes arrived at other workshops by parachute in his a little bit earlier days. He has jumped into the workshop, quite literally.
That is awesome. I would love to see that.
And so it was. So he's quite a character, and he is all about giving back. He has been a newspaper editor, photo editor, for several years, and held various instrumental positions in his career, both military and civilian.
He's probably the one that I quote the most when it comes to like giving advice to newer photographers.
Yeah.
Pretty much every thing I know to give advice is from Chip. He was my first mentor at the first DoD worldwide photography workshop that I got to go to. And yeah, additive cropping, the whole idea of, if things aren't positive, they're negative. I don't want to spoil it if he gives that talk. But then also the give as freely as it was given. I'm always quoting that one because it's so true. And, he's challenged so many people.
Yeah.
To
he
give
inspires
back to
people,
community.
and he inspires mentors. all these three people have inspired, the staff, the volunteers, and obviously the past participants.
I'm
And
sure there'll be rubber duckies involved at some point.
It's one of his signature things is to give out rubber duckies, and to remind you that before you go out onto an assignment, you need to get your ducks in a row.
And know what makes your ducky quack is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm quoting Chip all the time.
Yeah. So there you go. You got three heavyweights in photojournalism. And let me finish that. The chip shot.
Chip shot. Yeah.
Chip shot is a
the chip shot?
conglomeration of all the entries. So instead of the others being entered as your own package, for your story, they are then copied into another folder, but not as a group. To you.
Yep.
It is just all the pictures. And as a newspaper editor, he has a lot of, experience doing that too, just getting, contributed photos from here and there and this and that. Is it good? Is it bad? And such. And it is essentially the best of show, singular photograph. So the judges will make a determination on that. Speaking of judging is done by a panel of three esteemed and experienced photographers or editors, photo editors in the career field. So,
and usually not military members. Usually it's civilian industry professionals.
Very good point. Yes, leading and notable editors with great amounts of experience, and the type of experience that you want to look at your pictures. Maybe not for every picture, but for many of the pictures, or even on a sidebar, you can just talk with them afterwards. It's like, hey, what can you say about this photograph? And you can actually get a critique of your specific or a specific picture, whether it's yours or someone else's. You can have critique either during the judging at a Q&A period. There's a Q&A period of the judging. And yeah, you have amazing access. There's a lot of photo judging in other situations and associations and stuff. It's not critique. It's just, there you go. That's your score.
Yep.
You figure out what didn't, why it wasn't ranked higher and stuff like that. So that's,
I remember the old Milfog competition. All you got was an out. Just a one word, out.
Or in,
every once in a while you might get one in.
Yeah. And that makes your day,
right.
Just to get it to the next
and then
level.
The next round, out.
or in. But and you'll see folks who, you'll meet folks there who have gotten the your military photographer of the year, your POY of whatever, whatever organization or something like that. So
definitely take advantage. Definitely take advantage.
That's really the opportunity there. You talked about when it is. We're just cleaning up some more information here and judging. I think that was all pretty much about judging.
And this is a veteran-owned organization, nonprofit. This is not a workshop that's put on to put money in anybody's pockets. We have sponsors, but they're really just to help out and, make they provide a lot of the prizes and such. But let's see.
Yeah. Think about the, if you want to look, a lot of people want to dive into, like, who are we, where, where there's money is going and stuff like that. So it's the Navy League Association. So if you look up Navy League, you'll see their headquarters in Arlington, which will be quite literally block and a half away from the workshop site, from the hotel.
Hilton Garden Inn in Arlington Courthouse, Virginia.
You know, we're just researching the best opportunity for the workshop to do this, keep costs as low as possible, but still have a great venue to make this all work. Cost?
Yeah, the cost basically just goes to paying for the venue, paying for the rooms for the staff and judges. Or I don't think we usually do judges, but mentors at the very least, because the mentors are there voluntarily. They're not getting paid. So at the very least, we try not to make them pay out of pocket for a hotel room. We want to make sure that they're available to students throughout the entire process. They're not disappearing to go home for, 8 hours of your 24-hour shooting period.
So talking about being cost effective, how much is it? The full price is $195 in comparison to other workshops that are 3 days, 2 nights. That's, I don't know, 1/10 of some of those costs. Some workshops are, $1,000, $1,200 a day. So really consider.
And there's a discounted block rate for people who want to stay at the Hilton Garden Inn.
That's right.
Shootoff.org.
Yeah, shootoff.org, and you'll get to the Eventbrite online payments website. You'll see the $195 is the standard price. If you want to participate as a online participant from wherever you are in the world, it's only $30, just $30. And
I know I've done that before.
Yeah. And
it's a great experience.
As for the challenges, you may not be there to accept it, but you'll still get prizes. You will still get prizes if you get there's a little Oben tripod that I won from an online challenge, and I still use that thing to this day. It's a handy little tripod. There you go. And we recognize not everybody is going to have either job support or whatever. You're just taking your own time and you want to be there. You're in the area. You can figure out some way to get there and be there. But the costs, it's just outside of your reach for cost because of your budget. Talk with us, contact us, and we'll look into the possibility of scholarships at some level that is appropriate. And
I know each year we give out a couple of scholarships, both for the photo shoot off and the video shoot off.
Oh yeah. So we're not about making money. We're a nonprofit, 501c3 C19. I correct myself. 501c19, which is specifically a veteran owned organization, being the Navy League.
And if nothing else, we will be broadcasting the sessions and the judging live. I'm actually flying in this year from Utah just to be able to provide a quality experience, to see the guest speakers, the judging and everything from wherever you're at. So that's free regardless. If you want to participate in the challenges, and have a mentor to actually shoot and get feedback, $30. Or if you're in person, $195.
If there's any barriers to you participating, or you have more questions about it, there's always going to be someone from staff that can talk with you about that.
Or if you're watching this on YouTube or anything like that, by all means, throw a comment, ask questions there too.
So that's,
I think we pretty much covered it. We talked about where it is, when it is. By all means, shootoff.org. That is where you want to go to for all things shoot off related. We've got the photo shoot off coming up, the March 27th through 29th. But we also have the video shoot off. The dates have already been solidified. We've got the reservations. It's going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn Arlington Courthouse, same place it's been the past 2 years. And that is going to be, and of course I don't have it right in front of me. That is going to be August 21st through 24th. We'll release more details of that as we get closer. So before we sign off, Lance, you want to say anything else to potential shoot off participants?
Come join the fun. One of the things that came to me recently was there was a experienced and veteran photographer. He's now retired, and he said that during a workshop where I was a mentor, I told him I guess I gave him a very, very harsh critique on his portfolio.
I've had a few of those,
and he kind of held it against me for decades. So,
yeah.
And in the last several years, he finally understood what I was saying.
Yep.
And not that every critique and career counseling is like that, but it did for this one. And then he has taken that and he has applied that because he supervises other photographers.
Yep.
And he passed that along to his photographers. And it wasn't just that one critique or whatever, but I wouldn't assume it's just my critique, but is having critiques.
Yeah.
Having conversations, having a mentorship. Allowed him to pass along those career building tips and conversations to his troops, and they're doing better. So that's going forward, and then my mentorship was from Ken Hackman. So you got you have career generations, working one with it, with each other. And this is their starting point. This is an opportunity to get involved, to be a part of, to be in around other like-minded creators, sharers, storytellers, and such. You want to really do that. I would suggest that that you add this to your experience, your career experiences, and I think it will blossom from there.
Yeah, I remember the first workshop I got to go to was the DoD Worldwide Photography Workshop, which same group of people that run the DC shoot off now. But I remember that being just such a turning point for me creatively, professionally. Really helped me learn how to take criticism. I still have a tough time, but it's always good to get an unbiased, honest opinion. So yeah, definitely come out to the workshop. We will see you next time. Keep an open mind and don't forget, it's all play.